right, very good Monday morning. Today is Monday, August 10th, 2026. Making the trek to St. James on the Port Jefferson branch. This is my first day of the week off. Going to be seeing dual mode train 613. First of two dual modes running between Port Jefferson and Penn Station this morning. 613 is an express train making limited stops. This is an all-local train to Greenlawn, then Jamaica and Penn Station. You should have been coming off of train 3688 last night. Had DM30AC 518 on it, unknown on it. Find out what the equipment is. Haven't checked the radar yet this morning. Taking a look to the east here at St. James. We're watching 613. Equipment on this one today is DM30AC 515 on the lead, 519 on the rear with, 518 on the rear, not 519, 518 on the rear with 8. So this was the equipment that came out as 3688 this morning. This train is 1 minute late out of Port Jeff. Departing Port Jeff at 5:53. Departing Stony Brook at 6:04. We'll be here at St. James roughly around 6:10ish or so. 13 happens to be a very packed train because this is one of two directs to Penn Station. Again, with this train being a local to Greenlawn and an express with no stops to Jamaica, this would be a very packed train indeed. Many times I will take this train from Port Jefferson to Penn Station direct as an excuse to train ride on a vacation week such as this one. And we'll see how that goes come the end of the week. Again, 613, 1 minute late out of Port Jeff this morning, out of Jeff Interlocking at the west end of Port Jeff. All right, time now 6:09. We're hearing the sounds of the EMD motors off of 613. Got equipment on this one, DM30AC 515 leading, 518 on the rear with 8 cars. Again, this is 613 Port Jefferson to Penn Station as he's rounding the curve at milepost 51 and Mills Pond Road. Wasting no time getting here to St. James on time for a 6:10 departure. Only running a minute late today. .518 was on the Cannonball Friday night. The set was actually rebuilt last night. DM30AC 518 on the rear. This is train 613. First of dual modes, two dual modes between Port Jefferson and Penn Station. 619, which is the second departure, stops at all stops to Hicksville, Mineola, and then Jamaica and Penn Station. 619 generally runs with 7 cars. 613 generally runs with 8 cars. 613 generally comes off of 660 on most nights, except on Sunday night. This either will come off of 3682 or a later run. In this case, because last night they had issues with this particular set. This had 12 cars on it, as was the Cannonball set this weekend. Friday night had the 522, took it off, put the 500 on it. This particular equipment had brake problems at Spionk, causing delays of that particular train, of train 6095, and an older train at Babylon. Brought back to Jamaica Yard as an equipment move. This train particularly just stayed here for 30 seconds and now it's making its move west. And this is a local between Port Jeff and Greenlawn with no stops to Jamaica, then Penn Station. Alright, we're at Kings Park. We're at the First Street crossing at the very western end here at Kings Park. We have train 615, which is in the station right now. We'll be passing by shortly. C3 cab car 5004, the leader, with the E30AC 409 on the rear. This was the equipment on Friday. Used as train 3043, which is the dead-end move between Spionk and Jamaica. Time now 6:46. Starting to get brighter, and it's also starting to get warmer today. So window is closed in favor of the AC because of the humidity out there. Picked up again a little bit. And here comes train 615. And this is train 615 from Port Jefferson to Hunters Point Avenue. Alright, we're overlooking Duke Interlocking here in Northport. You're going to be seeing meet between train 606, scoot train between Huntington and Port Jefferson, and train 617 from Port Jefferson to Long Island City. 617 this morning has C3 cab car 5007 on the point. E30AC 415 on the rear with 5. .606 going to be rounding the Pepper Game to Northport shortly. E30AC 414 leading C3 cab car 5012 on the rear with 4. This meet, we're going to be seeing 617 should go off into the siding here. And 606 is now sounding off for Elwood Road, which is west of here. That 606 will be taking the siding, 617 will be on the main. Time now 7:11, and here comes train 606. Now coming into the station here at Northport, as you see him over here. And this train's going to be going into the siding here at Duke Interlocking. 617 is making its way west from Kings Park now. Here he comes. This is train 606. Takes the side of Duke. 615 should be coming here shortly. 617 actually. train 617 there. Time now is 7:15. Platforms here at Northport have been redone in the last couple of years. If you take a notice, the new station platform shelter here, and all we're done within the last year or two here. Platforms themselves are still the same from the many years I've been here. However, upgrades have taken place. New station railing. Even the bridge got redone. This station, along with Stony Brook and Port Jefferson, were redone within the last few years. Also equipped with Wi-Fi. Alright, we're overlooking the layup track here at the east end, right off of Park Avenue. This is the east-south side extension here at Huntington. All the freight cars over there off to the side. New York and Atlantic services this usually at nighttime, sometimes on a rare occasion during the day. You'll sometimes have RS-40 going out here. Most of the time you'll see it as RS-80. This train that we usually see laid up here is usually laid up here during the weekend, which is a Monday morning, obviously. Probably see this one going to Grand Central this morning, usually is the case. And later runs out to Grand Central. We're going to be seeing train 619, which is the local between Port Jefferson and Penn Station, which stops at Hicksville, Mineola, then Jamaica Penn Station. It also makes stops at Cold Spring Harbor and Syosset. This train stops at, does not stop at Hicksville. This train will make all stops at Huntington, Mineola, Jamaica, and Penn Station. This is kind of the reverse for what 664 will be at night. Train only running 2 minutes late. Arrived at Northport just now. Time now is 7:46. We'll be getting through here within the next 7-8 minutes. Alright, so we're taking a look to the east here. Third rail ends about 1,000 feet east of here. This is the end of third rail territory on the Port Jefferson branch. On a very, very rare occasion, you see an electric train coming to the east up Park Avenue. But again, it is extremely rare. Third rail, right in the vicinity of Lake Street, just before the Lake Street crossing. You just may barely make out the end of the third rail near the Port Jeff branch. The Port Jeff branch is from 261 territory all the way out to Port Jeff. However, at this point, it's single track pretty much all the way, with passing sidings. You have Duke east of Northport, Fox through Smithtown, Post at Smithtown, Stony at Stony Brook, and then Jeff at Port Jeff. .19 running with DM30AC, 505 the leader, 520 on the rear with 7. This equipment was put together as an 8-car set on Saturday. Originally had a cab car in it. Cab car taken off in favor of the 7-car set to run at a normal rush hour consist. Summer morning here. Actually, it's not too hot. The time now is 7:50 as .619 has just arrived in Greenlawn. Alright, we do have 619 on the move now. Here he comes as he's making his way west. Just sounded off Cupid Hill Road. He's going to get to Lake Street. Huntington, Mineola, Jamaica, and Penn Station. And he's slowing down as he's going through the confines of Hunt Interlocking. Alright, we're at Ocean Avenue here in Ronkonkoma. We have an M3 working for the equipment train number 4912 out of Penn Station, going to Ronkonkoma Yard, which will become train 1935. He's directly behind train 2016 from Grand Central. 2016 running about a minute early out of Brentwood. Scheduled arrival time around Ronkonkoma 10:18, so he's going to be here within the next 7 to 10 minutes or so. .9850 is the leader with this set, 12 cars. This was the same M3 set caught last weekend at Islip Avenue in Brentwood. Basically, they've kept this M3 set intact for quite a while. This train was laid up in West Side Yard over the weekend, went out as train 3100, and went back out as train 129 this morning to New York. Kept it in, turned it around in Penn Station and made it train 4912. This equipment should make 1935, then going to Huntington is 1556, returning is 1559. And then possibly later is 1568. We'll have another westbound train coming out of Ronkonkoma at the same time, or roughly at the same time, as train 2016 does. 2016 is making its way east now. And again, 4912 directly behind them within a minute or so. Alright, we are currently looking west here. Off in the distance is train 2016 from Grand Central. However, directly behind 2016, you have a second set of headlights, and that is train 4912 of that M3 set led by 9850. 12 cars. And again, 2016 will be here shortly within a minute or two, a couple minutes. That M3 set will be here within 3-4 minutes. And we have a train coming out into the station from the yard right now. Train 1931 departing at 10:18, and here comes train 2016 now. And again, as 2016 arrives, 4912 will be directly behind them. Time now is 10:11. He's actually 4 minutes early today. With 12 cars on this set. And 4912 will be right behind him also with 12 cars. Make no mistake about it, 4912, time now is 10:13 is about to make his arrival right behind 4912. Departs at 10:18, so we have plenty of time for this M3 set to pass. Here he he comes now as he's making it up the hill towards Ocean Avenue and Ocean Interlocking. Time now, 10:14. Again, 98.50 is the leader with 12. He's coming up at a little bit of a slower speed as he has an approach because of 2016. We'll have plenty of time to make it to the crossing at this point. $98.50, $98.49, $99.10, $99.09, $99.28, $99.27, $98.54, $98.53, $97.90, $97.89, and $99.42, $99.41. Equipment train 4912 from Penn Station to Ronkonkoma Yard. Alright, we're watching the equipment coming into Ronkonkoma now. And this is train 4912. He's making his move to the yard now as he's got a restricting signal. Going to be following 2016 into the yard. the very eastern end of the car wash track, you'll see the flashing red. That's a restricting signal. And if you look between the 98, 53, and 54, there is no square antenna on the top. This pair is lacking PTC equipment, therefore cannot consist. This is the oldest pair currently running. And if you notice that this one has the PTC antenna. All the pairs in this train have PTC equipment installed except for the 98, 53, 54. And it appears that we have track workers working on the switch at KO interlocking at number 2 track. And here is 9941 on the west end. Not that many cars left running. There's about 70 or 80 of these M3s still in active service. Appears that this train's going to be taking one of the lower yard tracks, as it will again will go out as train 1935 in a little bit. Due to the kind of track workers working on the switches over at KO. And it says M3 said working a little bit slower speed getting into the yard here. a little bit later in the day here on Monday, and we're back at Ocean Avenue. We got another M3 set working today. We have it for train 1954, the local between Penn Station and Ronkonkoma. This train has originated out of West Side Yard. We'll be going to Ronkonkoma, should be laying up in the yard for the Monday morning rush hour, as 1954 usually does, especially when it has an M3. This one's got the 9890 leading 10 cars. This is a new set. This one went out this morning supposedly as 1125 out of Wantagh, which also originated out of Babylon Yard, just like the earlier 4912 did. 4912's equipment with the 9850 on the east end and the 9941 on the west end with 12 cars went back prior as 1935. Currently running is train 1556 to Huntington back to New York. Supposedly will be train 1568 on a later run. Not 100% on that one, because the runs do change around from time to time. Last reported 9 minutes late out of Bethpage. Scheduled arrival time at Ronkonkoma was 2:22. It's going to be running 9 minutes late. Should get here around 2:30ish or so, depending on how fast it goes through the stations. So now it's 2:19. You're going to be seeing train 1959 depart, pass by momentarily. Currently 1954 still running 10 minutes late out of Deer Park. We'll be seeing 1959 momentarily going through here. It looks like he's a little bit late getting out of the gate here too at Ronkonkoma by a couple of minutes. His scheduled departure's at 2:18, so let's see if he is on the move yet. Alright, just a minute later, light just changed. It's coming down now for 1959. It's an M7 set on this train. 10 cars. Last update for 1954, 9 minutes late out of Brentwood. $75.37 is the leader with 10. Should be about 5 minutes or so. We're going to be seeing 1954 make it here to Ronkonkoma. Alright, it's now 2:24. We're seeing 1954 in the horizon. Looks like he's just made it to Central Islip now. He's rounded the curve just to the west of the station at Central Islip. Running about 10 minutes late once again. 9890 is the leader with 10. This is a new M3 set made up. Looks like this set went out to Babylon Yard. And now it came out of West Side Yard. This will lay up around the yard until tomorrow morning. Normal cases, 1954 will usually meet up with 1959 right around this location. But because he's running 10 minutes late, He's meeting up at the vicinity of Central Islip with 1959. And 1959 departed a couple minutes late. It looks like 1954 now is on the move heading east. Okay, you can barely make out the headlights of that M3 set coming east. He's heading east now. We'll be here shortly. It's going to be 10 minutes late upon his arrival at Ronkonkoma. Turn out 227. About to make it to the hill here. Milepost 47. About to make it here now as he's just about to climb up the hill. Again, 98.90 is the leader with 10. Penn Station to Ronkonkoma. This one will be laying up in Ronkonkoma Yard. Alright, we're on the south side here on Ronkonkoma. We're going to be watching this M3 set going to the yard here at this point. Not sure if we have Newark and Atlantic working today out here, but we do have this M3 set about to go into the yard here after 1954. Again, this equipment should be laying up in the yard until tomorrow morning's rush hour, as usually is the case for 1954. Right now he's in the station. And he's on the move now, going into the yard. And 98.90, the leader.